Welcome back. Producer, creator, and actor Katrina Walker shares her inspiring success story in her book Unbreakable, The Katrina Walker Story. The book takes readers on a journey through moments in Walker's life from being homeless to becoming a self made millionaire. In addition to writing the book, Walker has also showcased her storytelling talents on the stage with a play called Miss D's Kitchen. Walker now joins me to discuss the power of storytelling and how it can be used to empower audiences. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I want to know a little bit more about you in the sense of basically, what led you on the path of storytelling and creative expression?
Storytelling. Okay. All my life, and I go back in my book, Unbreakable. As far as 4 years old, I've always been that person that everybody liked to be around, and just people, saying, hey, I've had folks say, hey, be quiet, Trina talking, so they wanted to hear what I had to say, and it just interests people.
Now, what inspired the creation of your book? And can you tell us a little bit more about, that moment that you knew this was a story that you wanted to tell?
What inspired me about my book is that being a young black woman or a little girl at the time, growing up in Memphis in the 60s and the 70s, and not having just an easy life. Now, as a little girl, I wanted to show other black girls and just girls, period, my life story. I wanted to put it out there, my life story in hopes that it helped, other young girls.
Now, in the book, you talk about some of the hardships in your life. How has the entire process of creating this book and detailing the moments in your life served as a way to heal, but also highlight some of your triumphs?
Because even starting off in my book, I talk about surviving a home invasion where my head was big as a pumpkin and about 10 guys was in my home trying to kill me. But I survived it. And afterwards, going to the victim of home invasions and talking to the people, and they saying, this never happens. People don't get out of this. What did you say to them? So just my life, always going down and coming back up. As my mother, she's been gone for about 22 years. But as she would describe me, Trina, I've never seen nobody go down and come up, go down, and she push her hands down and come up the way that you do. And that's what inspired me, is to teach other people, no matter how far down you get, you get back up. You can get back up.
Now, what I love that you mentioned was that you wanted this to kind of be something for young women and young girls, especially young black women and young girls. Can you just talk a little bit more about the importance of kind of having that representation?
It is very, very important because the way that I look at it, a lot of women are not still around and helping. Like when I was coming up, we had a village, to raise the children. And so when I did, I always had a hard time. I have 4 children. Well, I just lost my son.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
about a month ago. But I was a teenage bride, a teenage mama. His name was Bobby. Lord, rest in peace, Bobby. But at any rate, I raised my children, and I had a hard life. I went through the abuse of their dad. I went through not having money, getting food stamps, standing in a line in a field trying to get milk. Black and white milk mean generic milk for my preemie baby. So I went through all of this, and I still came back up. So one thing I wanted to do for young women was start a daycare center. And I started the first, I would say first, 24-hour child care center for young mamas to go from, I don't want them to just be on welfare always, because they're bigger than that. From welfare to work, know that their children were in a good place. And from work to they could go back to school, they could become entrepreneurs. And, I was that woman that I wanted to give back to these young women. And I did that for 30 years.
That's amazing. And it's so inspiring just to hear you speak and talk about your stories. So I know that there's so much that readers can take away from the book. But I also want to highlight your talents on this stage, which I think is just so amazing. And it's just so cool that, that like people like you have so many different outlets and just areas where you can shine. Can you talk about Miss D's Kitchen and how that journey began?
Miss D's Kitchen, okay. Like I said, growing up in the South, Katrina Walker, I was that little black Shirley Temple. I can go back as far as 4 years old and really remember those days of getting up, my grandmama trying to stretch some eggs, because we had black relatives would come from up north or New York or wherever they may be down south to visit. So my grandmama, she'd be trying to stretch those eggs to feed everybody. But Trina, I said, we called her Mud Deer back then. But we said, Trina, little Trina, she look at grandmama trying to stretch the eggs with some milk or whatever to make it go around to everybody. And I was gone. At 4 years old, I had to get out of there, because I already knew I was going to get me some bacon and eggs. So the whole neighborhood loved me and knew me. And that was one of the things that I was gifted with, just being that little girl that everybody just welcomed in their home. So what inspired me about Miss D's Kitchen, growing up, my mama, Miss D, which I play the character, Miss D, she was that woman that everybody was always welcomed in our home. Our door was never locked. And you might hear some Al Green all the way to the front porch, And these characters that I created, these are real people. So I got Pretty Tony. He's a pimp on foot, meaning that he don't own no Cadillac. So the house was, the preacher would come by to have a drink of vodka, So it was just, real people in a real life. And Miss D, she shot from the hip. You may not want to hear what she got to say, but she was the doctor. If you had a busted head, she stitched it up, but she was everything to everybody, and everybody loved her, which is me. Now I'm that middle-aged black woman. Mama's gone, but I put it in a stage play, and people are loving it. It's selling out.
That's amazing. And you said that they're actually stemming from real people.
Real people.
What was it like finding, the actors to play, these people that in real life? And, what was the process of saying, like, okay, this person embodies and is, an envisionment of, what I thought this character would be?
Right, okay. And that was one of those things that I had to really kind of dig through like a needle in a haystack, but actually talking to these people and showing them exactly how this character is to be, which Tony Grant, which have played in quite a few sitcoms and things on BET and places like that. But I knew that he could fit Pretty Tony, and he does. He's that pimp on foot, and he plays that character out so well. So it was one of those things that I had to really dig through and really teach them and talk to them about how this character, everything from head to toe, their demeanor, how they walk, how they dance, how they act, and that's how I found the characters that I have.
Now, the play is described as hilariously funny. Why did you want to use comedy as a way to connect with the audience?
Because I grew up laughing, and that was before we had comedy on TV. We just we didn't even have grass, just dirt. Just telling jokes. And you didn't even know you was telling jokes, and it was all for free, but everybody laughed. I grew up with laughter in my home, or around me. Laughter. It wasn't even about money. Nobody had no money. We didn't even know we was not P-O-O-R. We didn't even know we was po. But we was po, but we was happy, and we were laughing. So I grew up with laughter.
That's amazing. And I love that, people say laughter is the best medicine, and so I love that you're bringing that to your work. What impact do you hope the play will have on the audience besides just being funny and making people laugh? What else do you hope people get from the play?
The realness. Miss D, she keeps it real. She keeps it 100. She's gone, and all this about you can't say this and you can't say that. We didn't carry our feelings on our shoulder. Miss D, she kept it real, and I think that people can appreciate the real. Everybody don't want to be a yes person. I think people really love laughter. They love funny. They love fun, and they want to be happy. And especially with everything everybody's been through with, the COVID and all this stuff. It's time to laugh again.
Right. Now, how can people support your work?
Well, first of all, they can go to Miss MS Katrina Walker, my social media, and share me. Tell everybody about me. I want everybody to know, because when it's all over, everybody's gonna know, and we're gonna have a ball.
That's amazing. Now, I want to know, what do you have next, or what do you hope to achieve next? You've accomplished so much, and as I mentioned, it's already so inspiring. So, what do you have next, or what is something that you want to do in the future?
I want to start a foundation to help with all these drugs out here, and lives being taken. I want to start a foundation for men and women, people that can't even afford to put, it's called blind eye. It's so many times we see things, but we don't. We go about our life, but I want to, like I say again, start this foundation to help people. My life is to help people. I just want it where when I lay down at the end of the day and when my day is done, I just want to help people. I know I can't save the whole wide world, but I'm sure going to try.
And what advice would you give to somebody who is looking at this right now and is inspired by your story and doesn't know, what's the next step they should take to kind of come out of maybe whatever they feel is holding them back?
I met a young woman yesterday. I was in TJ Maxx, one of my favorite stores. I'm going to give them a shout out. But anyhow, she was ringing my stuff up. She says, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing fine." And I said, "How are you doing?" She said, "Well," a young girl. "Yeah, well, okay." I said, "Well, sweetheart, what is wrong?" Just, "Well, my day, things are not going so good," and da-da-da-da-da. And I just told her, a little bit about what I was going through. She said, "But you don't look like it. You're so strong." I said, "I just lost my oldest son. I said, "Baby, you got so much, to live for. You're young." And that's what I want to do, is tell people, no matter how bad things may be, or you may think things are, I don't care what road you go up. And you might go up another road. You're going to go through things. I call it stuff. But you're going to go through it. You're still going to land on the other side. So that's what, what I tell young people, or tell people, period. Don't let, your mind, your thoughts, take you out of here. You know what I'm saying? Thinking always the wrong, because no matter, like I say, whatever road you go up, you're going to always go through something, but you're going to go through it. Always think positive and know that you are every one of your thoughts.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. And I'm so sorry to hear, about what happened to your son. But again, I appreciate you for coming here and, sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
To learn more about Unbreakable, the Katrina Walker Story, and Miss D's Kitchen, please go to her website at www.mskatrinawalker.com. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open right after this.